Hi everybody! So we're done with Mega Man 1, done with Mega Man 2. All we have left is Mega Man 3. This one's regarded as most people's second favorite game in the series, after Mega Man 2. Which is kind of funny actually, because I know Keiji Inafune has said he considers this one his least favorite. Reason being, after Mega Man 2 was such a runaway hit, Capcom rushed the sequel, which is Mega Man 3, so he didn't feel that it lived up to its potential. But, as you can see, it didn't even get an actual intro. It just goes right into it, so let's go ahead and get started. Now, most people start with Magnet Man. I think I'm going to start with Top Man, though. He's also pretty easy. And his stage looks very different than it did in the NES game. You can still see a little bit of that greenhouse thing going on. You can see some plants and stuff in there, and those solar panels up there. It looks a lot more finished, I think. Yeah, and this is Rush, by the way. They give Mega Man a dog in this game. He basically functions as your utility items. And he'll get other abilities once you defeat certain robot masters, like you got with the items in Mega Man 2. And as you can see, Mega Man can also slide starting in this game. Yeah, and see, now they got actual tops going in the back of the stage, because before you play the game and think, what does this greenhouse or anything have to do with tops? Am I still getting a lot of one-up drops? Man. We got this cat mini-boss. I think it's called Tama. I don't know why I used to think it was really hard back when I was a kid and I first played this game. I was a dumb kid, I guess. Because now I think it's super easy. Yeah, and it shoots fleas at you once you destroy all the yarn balls. And then our final obstacle is these spinning top platforms. In the NES game, it's the only thing there is to do with tops in this stage. There we go. And now we're at Top Man. Pretty easy boss. A very simple pattern. Even the Mega Buster takes off 2 points of damage instead of just 1. Rushed it a little bit. I thought I could get him. There we go. Yeah, you almost have to be trying to lose to Top Man. This goes on for quite some time. A lot more lag in this version. But anyways, we get the top spin now. What I feel is the most underrated weapon in the series. So many people say this weapon sucks, it's the worst weapon in the series, but while they ignore way worse weapons, including one in this very game, I feel the top spin is actually a very good weapon. But anyways, next is Shadowman, in the order that I tend to take. Shadowman's level looks more or less the same. He's got this red liquid all throughout. I don't know if it's supposed to be lava or molten metal or acid or just dirty water. None of it has much to do with being a ninja, though. And here we get our first glimpse of Protoman, and oh my god, does he look stupid in this version. They kept his proportions the same as he was in the NES game, and as a result, he looks like a midget next to Megaman. Still taking a lot of hits, though. Because I know my slower firing rate's not helping much. Here's the top spin in action. Yeah, it's short range. It can be a little awkward at first, but it's a one-hit kill on almost everything that isn't right out immune to it. Most people, I feel they'll just try the top spin out once or twice and then say, this weapon sucks, and they never use it again. I hate these frogs. When standing, they're too low to the ground to shoot, so you have to wait for them to jump at you. And they still have a very small hitbox. I don't know if I want to... I think I'll just wait for him to go down. This area just requires a little patience. Hey, look at that. Top spin just annihilates everything. I admit it's not as good on bosses, and it happens to be what Shadowman's weak to here. Hitting him with it can be a little difficult. It's hard to hit him without taking damage yourself. That's the thing. There we go. But he's even harder trying to beat him with just the Mega Buster. But now we get the Shadow Blade. Works very much like the Metal Blade from the previous game. Just a slightly nerfed version of it. And we also get the Rush Marine, which allows Rush to turn to a submarine, which lets us travel through the water easily. Now, there's actually two sets of weaknesses in this game, rather than just the usual one. One of them is Top, Shadow, Spark, Magnet, and Hard, and then a second loop, you could say would be Snake, Gemini, and Needleman. I tend to start with Snakeman at this point. We don't actually have his weakness yet, but he's the easiest of those three I mentioned, and we already have something that works fairly well against him. Snakeman's level looks quite a bit different than it did in the original game, too. Still got those snake platforms like out of Battletoads. It has more of a temple look in the background than whatever the NES game was supposed to be. And now we got a big snake head. Yeah, like I said, you can fire mostly like the Metal Blade, except you can't fire it down, and it has a little bit shorter range. But otherwise, it's still a really good weapon. I can't top spin through that. We have a new type of Joe enemy, the Hammer Joe. Still only vulnerable when they open their eye up. Here's something interesting that was exclusive to this game, these little canisters. You shoot them and they give you a random item. Like I said, though, they only appeared in this game. Snakeheads to deal with. Still getting a ton of one-up drops. Now this level goes up into the sky. This, I feel, is where it gets a little tricky. We got these bullet bill things that pop out of the clouds. Make jumping these platforms a little hard, especially once we get to this point. So we're getting much smaller platforms. We made it. And like I said, we don't quite have Snakeman's weakness at this point, but the Shadow Blade still works pretty well on him. I used to find him really difficult, though. Nintendo Power didn't help much because they seem to suggest that he was weak to the Sparkman's weapon, which he's not, unless you're playing the Game Boy version. But this is a pretty easy way to deal with him by sticking to the top platform there. And there we go. Get the Search Snake from him. Nothing too remarkable, just another ground-crawling weapon like the Bubble Leaf from the last game. But next is Gemini Man. He always had a very interesting level with the... Got these crystal platforms here. And then later into the stage it gets into this flashing crystals that kind of don't even know what it's supposed to be, actually. Firebombing guys that kind of reminded me of Heatman from Megaman 2. Use a similar attack. I really hate those penguins, though. And here we have Protoman again. Yeah, now that he's standing still, you can see just how ridiculous he looks next to Megaman. But this time he opens the way forward. And now we have little tadpoles that now we shoot the blocks. Actually makes it a pretty nice place to farm for items if you need them. But we don't need any of that. Giant penguins. Pretty easy though, just aim for the eyes. Now this section can be pretty tough if you don't have... Say, where'd my cursor go? But anyways, with the Rush Marine, it's not as difficult, but what I don't like is how this version... Whoa. Okay, they did nerf the Rush Jet, or the Rush Marine from the NES game. Not sure I'm liking it very much. Crap. Might as well just use one of the energy tanks. But anyways, yeah, you can see they nerfed the Rush Marine. He only fires one shot at a time instead of the usual 3. And then he disappears once you jump out on the land. Which I guess makes more sense, but you could actually hop around a little bit with the Rush Marine if you jump on land. But we made it to Gemini Man. He can also be pretty difficult if you don't have his weakness. But if you do, you can anticipate his movements pretty easily. Shadow clone disappears once he loses half his health. And he fires those lasers. And there we go. Now from him we get the Gemini laser, which, it looks like a really cool weapon and everything, but it moves really slowly and not as... and you can only fire one at a time, and if you miss, it reflects off stuff. So you have to wait for it to disappear. But I think that'll do it for this time. Next time we'll finish up the other 4. See you then, everyone.
I'm playing a game.